The alarm rang through the command station like a scream. Red lights flashed on every wall. Officers ran to their posts with fear in their eyes. Admiral Kethra stood at the center of the great bridge, his forearms crossed behind his back. His gray skin was tight with worry. "Report," he said. His voice was calm, but inside he felt cold. "Admiral, we have detected an unknown vessel at the outer border." The young officer's voice was shaking. It appeared from nowhere. No warning. No signal. Kethra walked to the main screen. The image showed empty space with a small dot moving through it. The dot was a ship. It was small, much smaller than any warship in the Dominion fleet. But something was wrong. Very wrong. "Speed?" Kethra asked Dot. The officer checked his console 3 times before answering. "Sir, the readings must be broken. The numbers are impossible. Tell me the numbers." "The ship is moving at 12 times our maximum speed, Admiral." Silence fell over the bridge. Every officer stopped moving. Every eye turned to the screen. Kethra felt his heart beating fast. In 10,000 years of Dominion history, no species had ever moved that fast. "Not one?" "Check the sensors again," Kethra ordered. "I have checked them 5 times, Admiral. The readings are correct." Kethra stared at the small dot on the screen. It moved through space like it was nothing. Like the laws of physics were just suggestions. His people had spent millions of years building their empire. They had conquered 1,000 worlds. They had defeated every enemy. And yet this tiny ship was doing something they could not do. "Where did it come from?" Kethra asked. "Unknown, Admiral. There is no record of the ship design. No record of the engine type. No record of the materials. Our database has information on every known species in the galaxy. This ship matches nothing. The origin point. Where did it enter our space from?" The officer looked at his screen with confusion. "From the dead zone, Admiral. Sector 774. There is nothing there. No planets. No stations. No colonies. Just empty space for 100 light years." Kethra felt a chill run down his spine. The dead zone was empty because it was too far from everything. No species would build there. No species could reach there. And yet this ship had come from that direction. "Have they responded to our signals?" Kethra asked. "We have sent greetings in all known languages, Admiral. We have sent warnings. We have sent threats. The ship does not answer. It does not slow down. It does not change direction. It is heading straight for the inner systems. The inner systems, where the capital world was, where billions of Dominion citizens lived, where the High Council made their decisions. This unknown ship was flying toward the heart of the Empire, and it was moving faster than anything they had ever seen. "Show me the ship closer," Kethra ordered. The image on the screen changed. The small dot became larger. Kethra studied the ship carefully. It was simple in design. No sharp edges. No visible weapons. It looked almost peaceful, almost friendly. That made it more frightening. "What is it made of?" Kethra asked. "Unknown materials, Admiral. Some kind of metal we have never seen before. Very light but very strong. The energy readings from the engine are strange." "Strange how?" "The engine is not using any fuel we recognize. It is not using any method we understand. It is like the ship is folding space itself. But that is impossible. That technology is only theoretical. We estimated it would take us another 1,000,000 years to develop." Kethra closed his eyes. A ship from nowhere. A ship using impossible technology. A ship that ignored all their messages. This was either a gift or a disaster. He had a feeling it was not a gift. "Send the alert to all fleet commanders," Kethra said. Full mobilization. I want every warship in this sector ready to intercept. I want every weapon charged. I want every soldier prepared. Yes, Admiral. What should I tell them about the threat level? Kethra looked at the small ship on the screen. It was so tiny compared to their mighty warships. It had no visible weapons. It had no army. It was just one small vessel flying through their space. But Kethra had lived for 300 years. He had fought in many wars. He had seen many enemies. And his instincts were screaming at him. Tell them the threat level is maximum, Kethra said quietly. The officer looked surprised. Maximum, Admiral? For one small ship? Any species that can build that ship is more dangerous than any enemy we have ever faced. They have technology we cannot understand. They have speed we cannot match. And they are coming to us without fear. That tells me they have no reason to fear us. That is the most dangerous thing of all. The bridge was quiet. Officers looked at each other with worried eyes. The Dominion had ruled this part of the galaxy for 10,000 years. They had never met an equal. They had never met a superior. But now, watching that small ship fly toward them with impossible speed, they wondered if that was about to change not far away. Inside the small ship, a young woman sat in the pilot's seat. Her name was Una Park. She had black hair tied back in a simple ponytail. Her eyes were dark and focused on the navigation screen in front of her. She wore a comfortable jacket and old boots. She looked like someone going on a simple trip, not someone flying through an alien empire. Behind her, a man was sleeping in his chair. His name was Tae Kim. He was the engineer who had built the ship's engine. He had been awake for 2 days making final adjustments, and now he was getting some rest. He snored softly. Una checked the distance on her screen. She smiled to herself. 30 more light years, she said quietly. Should make it in time for dinner. She had no idea that 100 warships were being sent to stop her. She had no idea that an entire empire was afraid of her little ship. She was just a traveler, exploring the stars, hoping to find something interesting. She was about to find something very interesting indeed. The alarm on Kethra's station rang again. Another officer called out, "Admiral, the ship has increased speed. It is now moving at 15 times our maximum." Kethra said nothing. He just watched the screen, watched the tiny ship fly closer, watched the future coming toward them at impossible speed. Whatever was inside that ship, whatever species had built it, they were about to meet. And Kethra had a feeling the galaxy would never be the same. Commander Talvex stood on the bridge of his warship, the Mighty Fist. Around him, 99 other warships flew in perfect formation. It was the largest fleet the Dominion had sent in 50 years. All of it for one small ship. How far? Talvex asked. "We will reach the target in 3 hours, Commander," his navigator said. 3 hours. Talvex had pushed his engines to their limit. His ships were burning fuel faster than they should. But the strange vessel was still ahead of them, still moving at that impossible speed. They could only catch it because it seemed to be slowing down. Why is it slowing? Talvex wondered out loud. Unknown, Commander. Perhaps their engine is failing. Perhaps they are tired. Perhaps they want us to catch them. That last option worried Talvex the most. A ship that wanted to be caught was either very stupid or very confident. He had a feeling this ship was not stupid. 2 hours later, they finally saw it clearly. The unknown vessel had stopped completely. It floated in space, waiting. Just waiting. Like it had all the time in the world. "All ships, weapons ready," Talvex ordered. "Surround the target. No one fires until I give the command." The Dominion fleet spread out in a perfect circle around the small ship. 100 warships. Thousands of weapons. Millions of soldiers. all pointed at one tiny vessel that looked like it could fit inside Talvek's cargo bay. "Open communications," Talvek said. "All frequencies." The communication officer worked his console. "Channel open, Commander." Talvex took a deep breath. "Unknown vessel. This is Commander Talvex of the Galactic Dominion. You have entered our space without permission. You have ignored our signals. You will identify yourself immediately, or we will open fire." Silence. The small ship floated there, saying nothing. Talvex felt his anger rising. "I repeat, identify yourself," or a voice came through the speakers. It was a female voice, speaking in a strange language. The universal translator worked hard, struggling to understand. After a moment, the words became clear. "Oh, hello there. Sorry about that. I was making tea. Did you say something?" Talvex blinked. Of all the responses he had expected, this was not one of them. The voice sounded casual, friendly, like they were old friends meeting for a chat. "I said identify yourself," Talvex repeated, his voice hard. Right. My name is Unipark. I'm a pilot. This is my ship, the Wanderer. We're just passing through. Nice fleet you have there, by the way. Very shiny." Talvex looked at his officers. They looked as confused as he felt. "What species are you?" Talvex demanded. "Human. We're humans. From Earth. It's a planet in the Sol system. You probably haven't heard of it. It's pretty far from here." The database officer quickly searched through the records. He looked up with wide eyes. "Commander, there is no species called human in our database. There is no planet called Earth. There is no Sol system anywhere in our maps." Talvex felt cold again. "An unknown species. From an unknown place. With unknown technology. How did you build a ship that moves so fast?" Talvex asked. There was a pause. Then a different voice came through. A male voice, slower and more relaxed. "Oh, that? I built it. It's nothing special. Just a modified warp-fold drive. Bends space a little bit. Makes distances shorter. I put it together in my garage back home." "You built this in a garage?" Talvex could not believe what he was hearing. "Yeah, took about 2 years. Una here kept telling me to hurry up because she wanted to go exploring. I told her good engineering takes time." "Tay, you spent 6 months just deciding what color to paint the hull." "Blue is important, Una. It's the color of the sky back home. It reminds me of Earth." Talvex listened to them argue like old friends. They did not sound afraid. They did not sound worried. They were surrounded by 100 warships with enough firepower to destroy a planet, and they were arguing about paint colors. "Enough," Talvex said loudly. "You will shut down your engines. You will allow us to board your ship. You will submit to inspection. If you resist, we will destroy you." Another pause. Then Una spoke again. "That's not very friendly. We just wanted to say hello. We've been flying for a long time, and you're the first people we've met. We were hoping to make friends." "Friends?" Talvex almost laughed. "You invaded our space. You ignored our warnings. You flew toward our capital. We didn't invade anything. We were just passing through. We didn't know this was your space. There weren't any signs." "Signs?" "You know, like no trespassing or private property or something." "How were we supposed to know?" Talvex rubbed his forehead. He was getting a headache. This conversation made no sense. These humans made no sense. "Fine," he said. "Will you allow us to board?" "Sure. Come on over. We have tea." "Do you like tea?" "It's a drink we make from leaves. Very relaxing." Talvex ordered a boarding team to prepare. 20 of his best soldiers, armed with the finest weapons. They flew a small shuttle to the human ship, and docked at a simple airlock. When the door opened, Talvek's soldiers raised their weapons. They expected monsters. They expected warriors. They expected something dangerous. Instead, they found a young woman with black hair holding 2 cups of tea. She smiled at them. "Welcome aboard. I'm Una. Please don't shoot anything." Tay gets upset when things break. Behind her, a young man sat in a chair eating some kind of snack from a small bag. He waved at the soldiers without getting up. "Hey," Tay said. "Want some chips? They're barbecue flavor." The lead soldier looked at his weapon, then at the humans, then back at his weapon. He slowly lowered it. The others did the same. It was hard to point a gun at someone offering you tea and snacks. Una led them through the small ship. It was clean and simple. There were only 2 rooms plus a cockpit. The engine room was in the back, filled with equipment that none of the soldiers recognized. Lights blinked. Machines hummed. It all looked very advanced, but also very homemade. "This is the kitchen," Una said. "This is where I sleep. That's where Tay sleeps when he's not working on the engine. And that's the bathroom. Please knock before entering." The lead soldier finally spoke. This ship traveled faster than anything we have ever seen. This ship crossed distances in hours that would take us weeks. And it was built in a garage? Tay's garage, yes, Una said. It's a nice garage. He has a lot of tools. Back on the mighty fist, Talvex listened to his soldier's report. His head hurt worse than before. "Commander," the lead soldier said through the communication channel, "these humans are not hostile. They seem genuinely friendly. They keep offering us food and drinks. One of them is trying to teach Private Kel a card game." "A card game?" "Yes, Commander. It is called poker. The human says it is about lying to your friends for fun." Talvex closed his eyes. He had expected an enemy. He had expected a threat. Instead, he had found 2 strange creatures who wanted to share tea and play games. He did not know what to do with that. "Bring them to my ship," Talvex ordered. "The High Council will want to see them. And tell them to bring more of that tea." On the Wanderer, Una smiled when she heard the order. She looked at Tay. "Looks like we're making friends after all," she said. Tay shrugged and grabbed another bag of chips. "I hope they have good food wherever we're going. I'm almost out of snacks." They followed the soldiers to the shuttle without any argument. They walked like they were going to a party, not an interrogation. And somewhere deep in his mind, Talvex realized something that frightened him more than any weapon. These humans were not afraid because they had no reason to be afraid. Whatever power they had, whatever technology they possessed, it made them feel completely safe. Even surrounded by 100 warships. Even in the heart of enemy territory. And if that was true for just 2 of them, what would happen when more arrived? The High Council chamber was the largest room in the Dominion capital. It could hold 10,000 people. The ceiling was so high that clouds sometimes formed inside. Giant pillars held up the roof, each one carved with the history of the Empire. 10,000 years of victories. 10,000 years of power. Today, the chamber was full. Every council member sat in their raised seats, looking down at the center of the room. Every noble family had sent representatives. Every military leader was present. They had all come to see the impossible. They had all come to see the humans. Una and Tay stood in the center of the room, looking around with curious eyes. They did not look scared. They looked interested, like tourists visiting a famous building. "This place is huge," Tay whispered to Una. "How do they clean the ceiling?" "Maybe they have flying robots," Una whispered back. "That would be cool." The High Chancellor raised his hand for silence. He was old, even by Dominion standards. His skin was dark gray, almost black, and his eyes glowed with a soft blue light. He had ruled the Dominion for 500 years. He had seen many things, but he had never seen anything like this. "You are the humans," the Chancellor said. His voice filled the entire chamber. "Yes, that's us," Una said with a small wave. "Hello, everyone." A few council members made sounds of surprise. No one had ever spoken so casually to the High Chancellor. "Our scientists have examined your ship," the Chancellor continued. "They report that your technology is beyond our understanding. Your engine uses principles we have only dreamed about. Your materials are stronger than anything we can make. Your navigation systems can map space in ways we thought impossible." "How is this possible?" Una looked at Tay. Tay shrugged. "I don't know," Tay said honestly. "I just built what made sense. I read a lot of old physics books. I did a lot of experiments. Some things exploded. Some things worked. Eventually, I figured out how to fold space. It wasn't that hard." "Not that hard?" A council member stood up, his voice angry. "Our greatest scientists have worked on this problem for millions of years. We have spent more resources than you can imagine. And you say it wasn't hard?" "I mean, it was a little hard," Tay said. "The power supply was tricky. I had to build a small fusion reactor. That took a few months." "You built a fusion reactor in a few months?" "Well, I had help. My friend Jay helped with the math. He's good at math." The chamber exploded with voices. Council members shouted at each other. Some demanded the humans be arrested. Some demanded their technology be taken. Some simply sat in shock, unable to believe what they were hearing. The Chancellor raised his hand again. Silence returned. "How long has your species been traveling among the stars?" he asked. "About 200 years, Una answered. "We built our first rocket a little before that. Then we figured out how to leave our planet. Then we started exploring. 200 years. The Chancellor's voice was quiet. "We have been spacefaring for 10 million years. And in 200 years, you have surpassed us." Una looked uncomfortable for the first time. "We didn't mean to make anyone feel bad. We learn fast, I guess. Humans are curious. We always want to know how things work. We always want to go further. See more. Do more." A door at the side of the chamber opened. A Dominion officer rushed in and whispered something to the Chancellor. The Chancellor's glowing eyes went wide. "It seems another ship has arrived at our border," the Chancellor announced. "Another human ship." Una smiled. "That's probably Jay. He was supposed to meet us here." "You knew another of your kind was coming?" "Of course. Jay is a diplomat. He wanted to meet whoever runs things out here. Make friends. Set up trade. You know, the usual. The usual." For them, this was normal. Flying across the galaxy to meet unknown civilizations was just another day. The Chancellor felt very old suddenly. An hour later, Jahan entered the chamber. He was tall and well-dressed, wearing a simple black suit. His hair was neatly combed, and he walked with confidence. Unlike Una and Tay, he looked like someone who belonged in a place like this. "Good morning," Jay said with a polite bow. "I am Jahan, official representative of the United Earth government. I apologize for any confusion my friends may have caused. They are excellent explorers, but sometimes forget to check if space is already occupied." "Hey," Una said. "We didn't forget. There just weren't any signs." Jay gave her a look that said, "Please be quiet." Una smiled and said nothing more. "You represent your entire species?" the Chancellor asked. "For this mission, yes. I have the authority to negotiate on behalf of Earth." "Negotiate what, exactly?" "Friendship, mostly. Trade, if you're interested. We have technologies we would be happy to share. We would love to learn about your culture and history. Humans have been alone for a long time. We were very excited to learn that other intelligent species exist." The Chancellor leaned forward. "You want to share your technology? Freely, of course. Knowledge should be shared. That's how everyone grows." The council members looked at each other with confusion. In the Dominion, technology was power. You never shared power with strangers. You took it from enemies. You kept it from allies. The idea of giving it away freely was strange beyond words. "What do you want in return?" The Chancellor asked carefully. Jay thought for a moment. "Friendship. Maps of the galaxy would be nice. Maybe some recipes? We've been eating ship food for months, and it's getting boring. Recipes? Food instructions. Ways to cook things. Yuna is a terrible cook, and I'm tired of rice packets." "Hey!" Yuna protested. "My cooking is fine. You burned water yesterday, Yuna. That was Tay's fault. He distracted me. I was sleeping." Tay said, "You snore very loud." The Chancellor watched the three humans argue about cooking. These were the most advanced beings his civilization had ever encountered. These were the creators of impossible technology. And they were fighting about burned water. "Your species," the Chancellor said slowly, "is very unusual." Jay smiled. "We get that a lot. You have power beyond our understanding. You could take whatever you want. Why do you ask for friendship instead?" Jay's smile faded. He looked serious now. "Because we spent too long fighting each other," he said quietly. "Humans have a long history of war. We killed each other over land, over resources, over ideas. Millions died. We almost destroyed our own planet. We almost ended our own species." The chamber was silent. Every council member listened. "When we finally reached the stars, we made a promise," Jay continued. "No more conquest. No more empire. We would explore, yes. We would learn, yes. But we would never again take from others what wasn't ours to take. We would make friends, not subjects. We would share, not steal. That is a noble goal," the Chancellor said. "It's also practical," Jay said with a small smile. "Friends help you when you're in trouble. Subjects just wait for a chance to rebel. We'd rather have friends." The Chancellor sat back in his great chair. He had ruled an empire built on conquest and power. He had never considered another way. But looking at these strange creatures, these humans who built miracles in garages and wanted nothing but friendship, he wondered if maybe there was something to learn here. "We will consider your offer," the Chancellor said. "You will be our guests while we decide." "Thank you," Jay said with another bow. "We appreciate your hospitality." As guards led the humans away to guest chambers, a young council member approached the Chancellor. "Do you believe them?" she asked. "Do you believe they want nothing but friendship?" The Chancellor watched the humans walk away. Yuna was pointing at things and asking questions. Tay was already making notes about the technology he saw. Jay was thanking every guard they passed. "I don't know what I believe," the Chancellor admitted. "But I know this. If they wanted to conquer us, they could. Their technology is too advanced. Their ships are too fast. We could not stop them. And yet they ask only for recipes and friendship. Maybe it's a trick. Maybe, or maybe, for the first time in 10,000 years, we have met something truly new. A species that wants nothing from us but our company." He paused and looked up at the great ceiling of the chamber. "I think I would like to understand them better. I think we all would." Far away, at the edge of Dominion space, sensors detected something new. More signals. More ships. Dozens of them, spreading out in every direction. The humans were not just here. They were everywhere. And they had been exploring for a very long time. The galaxy was about to get much more interesting. The alarm came at midnight. Una was sleeping in her guest room when the sirens started screaming. Red lights flashed through the windows. She was on her feet in seconds, her pilot instincts taking over. Tay burst through her door, still pulling on his jacket. "What's happening?" "I don't know." "Let's find out." They ran through the halls of the guest building. Dominion officers rushed past them, their faces full of fear. Something very bad was happening. They found Jay in the main hall, already talking to a Dominion military officer. The officer's hands were shaking. "What's going on?" Una asked. Jay's face was serious. "The Outer Rim territories are under attack. Something called the Hollow Swarm." "The Hollow Swarm?" Tay looked at the officer. "What's that?" "Our oldest enemy," the officer said. His voice was hollow. "They come from the dark space between galaxies. They do not speak. They do not negotiate. They only consume planets, ships, people, everything." "When did they attack?" Una asked. 3 hours ago. They hit 12 colonies at once. Millions of citizens are trapped. Our fleet cannot reach them in time. It would take days to arrive. By then, everyone will be dead. Una and Tay looked at each other. They had the same thought at the same time. "Our ship," Una said. "It's still in the military dock, right?" "Yes, but we can be there in 6 minutes." The officer stared at her. "That's impossible. The Outer Rim is thousands of light years away. Not for us." Una was already moving toward the door. "Tay, get the engine warmed up." "Jay, tell them we're gonna help." "Una, wait." Jay grabbed her arm. "This isn't our fight. We're supposed to be diplomats, not soldiers." Una stopped. She looked at Jay with fire in her eyes. "People are dying, Jay. Millions of people. We have a ship that can reach them. We have technology that can help. If we do nothing, those people die. I can't live with that. Can you?" Jay was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded. Double quotes. "No, I can't." "Good. Then help me convince them to let us go." It took precious minutes to get permission. The Chancellor himself had to approve it. He watched the humans through a video screen, his glowing eyes full of doubt. "You would risk your lives for us?" he asked. "For people you have never met? For a species that held you prisoner?" "You gave us tea and a nice room," Una said. "That's not prison. That's hospitality. And yes, we would risk our lives. That's what friends do." The Chancellor was silent. Then, slowly, he nodded. Double quotes go, "and may the stars protect you." Una sprinted to the dock. Tay was already in the Wanderer, running through the startup sequence. The engine hummed to life, louder than normal, ready to push beyond all limits. "How fast can we go?" Una asked as she jumped into the pilot's seat. "Fast enough. But Una, this is going to be rough. I've never pushed the drive this hard." "Do it." The Wanderer shot out of the dock like a bullet. Space blurred around them. Stars became lines. The ship shook and groaned, but it held together. Tay watched his instruments with worried eyes. "We're folding space faster than I thought possible," he said. "The engine is running hot, but it's working." 6 minutes later, they dropped out of warp. The Outer Rim was a battlefield. Dominion warships burned in space, their hulls torn open by strange organic weapons. Colonies on the planets below sent desperate distress signals. And everywhere, there were hollow swarm ships. They looked like twisted nightmares, part metal and part flesh, covered in spikes and teeth. There were hundreds of them. "Oh no," Una whispered. "We can't fight all of those," Tay said. "We don't have to fight all of them. We just have to buy time." Una pushed the engines forward. The Wanderer dove into the battle. The first swarm ship never saw them coming. Una flew past it at impossible speed, and Tay deployed something from their cargo bay. A small device attached to the swarm ship's hull. 3 seconds later, the device activated. The swarm ship tore itself apart from the inside. What was that? Una shouted. Nanite torpedo. Self-replicating machines. They eat through any material. I made a few just in case. You made weapons? I made tools. Some tools just happen to be really good at taking things apart. They hit another ship. Then another. The Wanderer was too fast to catch, too small to target. It danced through the battle like a ghost, leaving destruction in its wake. The Dominion survivors watched in amazement. One tiny ship was doing what their entire fleet could not. One tiny ship was holding back the swarm. "This is Commander Talvex to unknown vessel," a voice crackled over the radio. Is that the human ship?" "Hello again, Commander," Una said cheerfully. "Looks like you could use some help. How did you get here so fast?" "We took the shortcut." "Now, do you have any evacuations in progress?" "We can protect them." Talvex sent coordinates for the largest colony, where transport ships were loading survivors. The swarm was closing in. The transports would never escape in time. Una flew to the colony at full speed. She positioned the Wanderer between the transports and the approaching swarm. "Tay, tell me you have something else in that cargo bay." "I have one more toy, but it's experimental. I've never tested it. What does it do?" "It creates a gravity well. Anything that gets close gets crushed." "That sounds perfect." "It might also crush us." "Less perfect." "Do it anyway." Tay deployed the device. A sphere of intense gravity formed in front of them. The first swarm ships flew into it and crumpled like paper. Others tried to go around, but the well was too large, too strong. It blocked the entire approach. Behind them, the transport ships escaped one by one. Thousands of survivors flew to safety. "The transports are clear," Talvex reported. "But more swarm are coming. You need to retreat." "Not yet." Una watched her sensors. "There are still people on the surface. We cannot save everyone. We can try." A new voice came over the radio. A female voice, calm and professional. "This is Hanali, human medical vessel Hope. I'm entering the system now. I have supplies and medical equipment. Point me to the wounded." Tay laughed. "Hannah, how did you get here?" "Same way you did." Jay called ahead. Said you two were doing something stupid and might need backup. Another ship appeared, similar to the Wanderer, but slightly larger. It flew straight toward the colony below, ignoring the battle around it. "What are you doing?" Una shouted. "You'll get hit." "I have shields. Besides, someone needs to help the people on the ground. You handle the sky. I'll handle the surface." Hannah's ship landed near the main city. She emerged with medical equipment and immediately started treating the wounded. Dominion soldiers watched in shock as this human woman, this stranger, worked to save their people. "Why are you helping us?" A wounded soldier asked her. Hannah didn't stop working. "Because you need help. That's enough reason. But we're not your people." "Your people. That's what matters." The battle raged for hours. More Dominion ships arrived, slowly turning the tide. The swarm, for the first time in centuries, began to retreat. They had never faced an enemy they couldn't overwhelm. They had never faced humans. When it was finally over, the Wanderer floated among the wreckage. The ship was damaged. The engine was barely working. But they had survived, and so had thousands of Dominion, citizens who would have died without them. Commander Talvex flew his damaged ship alongside the Wanderer. Through the view screen, he could see Una and Tay in their cockpit. They looked exhausted but happy. "You saved us," Talvex said. "You didn't have to. You could have stayed safe. Why did you risk everything?" Una smiled tiredly. Because it was the right thing to do. Isn't that reason enough? Talvex had no answer. In the Dominion, you helped allies because it benefited you. You fought enemies because they threatened you. You never risked your life for strangers simply because it was right. Maybe. He thought they had a lot to learn from these humans. On the surface below, Hana finished treating the last patient. She stood up, her clothes covered in blood that was not her own. Dominion medics gathered around her, amazed at her techniques, her tools, her dedication. "Thank you," one of them said. "Thank you for everything." Hana just smiled. "That's what humans do. We help. It's who we are." The stars burned bright above them, indifferent to the battle that had raged. But for the Dominion, everything had changed. They had seen something they never thought existed. They had seen hope. 3 days after the battle, the High Council chamber was full again. But this time, the feeling in the air was different. There was no fear. There was no suspicion. There was something that felt almost like respect. The 4 humans stood in the center of the room. Yuna's arm was in a sling from a minor injury during the battle. Tay had dark circles under his eyes from working nonstop to repair the Wanderer. Hana still had traces of alien blood under her fingernails that she could not wash away. Jay stood straight and proud, representing them all. Admiral Kethra stepped forward. He was the same officer who had first detected the Wanderer, the same one who had sounded the alarm and called it a maximum threat. Now he stood before the humans with something in his hands. "I have served the Dominion for 300 years, Kethra said. His voice echoed through the great chamber. "I have won many battles. I have received many honors. But I have never seen anything like what you did." He turned to face the council. These 4 humans flew into a battle that was not theirs. They faced an enemy they did not know. They risked their lives for people they had never met. And they asked for nothing in return. He turned back to the humans. "The Dominion does not have words to thank you properly. We can only offer what we have. Our gratitude. Our respect. And this," he held out a small box. Inside was a medal, made of a beautiful blue metal that glowed softly. The Star of the Dominion. It has only been given 12 times in our history. You are the first non-Dominion citizens to ever receive it. Yuna looked at the medal, then at Jay. "That's really pretty," she whispered. "Can I touch it?" Jay gave her a look. "Yuna, this is a formal ceremony." Right. Sorry." The Chancellor rose from his great chair. The chamber fell silent. "We have discussed your offer of alliance," the Chancellor said. "We have considered your request for friendship, and we have reached a decision." He paused. Every eye in the chamber was on him. For 10,000 years, the Dominion has conquered. We have taken worlds. We have defeated enemies. We have built an empire on strength and power. We believed this was the only way. We believed weakness was death. He looked at the humans. "But you have shown us another way. You have strength beyond our understanding. Your technology could destroy us. Your ships could reach our capital before we could blink. And yet you ask only for friendship. You offer your knowledge freely. You risk your lives for strangers." The Chancellor stepped down from his platform, something he had never done before. He walked slowly to where the humans stood. "We do not fully understand you. Perhaps we never will. But we know what we saw at the Outer Rim. We saw courage. We saw kindness. We saw 4 people do what our entire fleet could not." He reached out his hand, an old gesture that Jay had told him about. "The Dominion accepts your offer of alliance, not as masters and subjects, not as conquerors and conquered, but as friends." Jay took his hand and shook it firmly. "On behalf of humanity, we accept. Welcome to the family." The chamber erupted in noise. Some council members cheered. Some looked uncertain. Some simply stared. trying to understand how their world had changed so quickly. Later, after the ceremony, the humans gathered in a private room with several Dominion leaders. There was food and drink, though the humans had to be careful about what they ate because some Dominion foods were dangerous to their biology. A young Dominion officer approached Una. He was the same one who had first boarded the Wanderer, the one who had been offered tea and chips. "May I ask you something?" he said. "Sure. We offered you wealth. We offered you territory. We offered you titles and power. You refused everything. Why?" Una thought about the question. What would we do with territory? We already have a home. What would we do with wealth? We have everything we need. And titles? She laughed. Titles just mean people expect things from you. I'd rather just be Una. But surely you want something. Una looked around the room. She saw Tay talking excitedly with Dominion engineers, sharing ideas about technology. She saw Hana teaching Dominion medics about human medical techniques. She saw Jay discussing philosophy with council members, exchanging ideas about government and society. "We want this," Una said. "We want to learn. We want to share. We want to meet new people and see new places. We want to know that when we leave, we've made things a little better than we found them." She smiled at the officer. "For humans, that's worth more than any treasure." The officer did not fully understand, but he was beginning to nod as the celebration continued. Admiral Kethra pulled Jay aside. "I must ask you something," Kethra said quietly. "During the battle, we detected other ships. Human ships. Dozens of them, spread across the galaxy. How many of you are there?" Jay's smile was mysterious. "A few billion on Earth, but out here, in space?" He shrugged. "Hard to say. We've been exploring for 200 years. Ships go out and don't always check in. Some find interesting things and stop to study them. Some just keep going, seeing how far they can reach." "You mean there are humans all over the galaxy?" "Probably. We're curious by nature. Hard to keep us in one place." Kethra felt a chill. The thought of humans scattered across the stars, each one carrying that impossible technology, that unstoppable drive to explore and learn. It was overwhelming. "Why don't you rule the galaxy?" Kethra asked. "You could, easily." Jay's expression became sad. "Because we've tried ruling things before. It never works. Someone always resists. Someone always rebels. You spend all your time holding on to power instead of enjoying life." He shook his head. "No, we decided long ago that conquest is a waste of time. It's much better to make friends. Friends choose to stand with you. Subjects just wait for a chance to leave. A strange philosophy, maybe, but it works for us." The celebration lasted long into the night. When it finally ended, the humans returned to the Wanderer, now fully repaired thanks to Dominion engineers working alongside Taydot as they prepared to leave. The Chancellor came to see them off personally. "Where will you go now?" he asked. Una looked at the stars through the dock's great windows. "Everywhere," she said. "There's so much to see. So much to learn. This is just the beginning. Will you return?" "Of course. We're friends now." Friends visit. The Chancellor nodded. He had lived for 1,000 years, but he had never felt so young, so full of wonder about the future. "Safe travels, humans. May you find what you seek among the stars. May you find peace among yours," Jay replied with a bow. The Wanderer's engines hummed to life. The ship lifted off the dock and turned toward the stars. In seconds, it was gone, moving at speeds the Dominion could only dream of. Later that night, Admiral Kethra sat in his office, writing his report. He had to document everything that had happened. He had to explain to future generations what they had witnessed. He wrote for hours, When he finished, he stared at the final paragraph dot. Then he added one more line. Species classification update. Humans. Status. Allies. Threat level. Immeasurable. Recommendation. Never give them a reason to be otherwise. He saved the report and looked out his window at the stars. Somewhere out there, human ships were flying, exploring, learning, making friends. They were everywhere and nowhere, moving too fast to track, appearing when least expected. For the first time in 10,000 years, the Dominion was not the most powerful force in the galaxy. And somehow, strangely, that did not feel like a defeat dot. It felt like a beginning dot far across the universe. Una sat in her pilot chair, watching space blur past. So, Tay said from behind her, where to next? Una checked her star maps. There were millions of systems they had never visited. Billions of stars they had never seen. Countless civilizations waiting to be discovered. She smiled. Everywhere? And the Wanderer flew on, carrying its small crew of humans deeper into the unknown. Behind them, the Dominion began to change. Ahead of them, the galaxy waited. The age of humanity among the stars had only just begun.